Hello, Curious Creatives out there. This is Mike Kepka, the Curious Creative, bringing you yet another episode of the show where we talk about results-driven video strategies that show real ROI for our clients. In this episode, we're going to catch up with past guest, one of my favorites to date, Bob Kelly of KPG Creative, his video agency that he's been growing strong since he started in 2002. If you missed that first episode, you can see that in TCC's episode 6. I'll leave a link to that show below so you can find it a little easier. Bob, I'm so excited to have you back on the show. How are you doing?
Doing great, Mike. Thanks for having me on the Curious Creative.
You're listening to the Curious Creative with your host and video expert, Mike Kepka. Bob, what you been up to the last couple of months, my friend?
Oh, I've been working hard out here in Cincinnati, trying to make some things happen on the return on video investment model and get some projects under works. And it's starting to work pretty well, actually.
Great. You know, I visited your new landing page or your website recently, I think, and looks like you've definitely made some changes there. What's going on there, and tell me how that's changing things up for you?
Well, we redid our landing pages to be more direct to the target audiences we're going after. I had figured out in conversations with others that on the landing page, we don't have to be necessarily trying to teach them or consideration content or awareness content. It's all about driving that final decision, right? So by the time you've come to my landing page, you've probably already seen a bunch of my content on LinkedIn, which is where we were campaigning. And so all you need to do is be pushed over the edge to actually convert. And so that's what's the redesign.
That's end stage content. It's decision content for people that have already seen your other stuff. You're promoting that where? On LinkedIn or Meta?
LinkedIn,
what are you doing?
LinkedIn and also on Google Ads.
Okay. Have you seen any results, numbers, or anything, any data that you can kind of share with us to get excited about? Or
the engagement on LinkedIn has been off the charts.
Great.
We're getting huge numbers of views and a lot of visits to the website. The conversions are limited, but we're getting a lot of traction as far as people are becoming aware of us and are curious about what we're doing. So I consider that a win.
Who's your audience on the LinkedIn channel? Where are you pushing that content to?
Marketing directors and manufacturers, mostly high-tech manufacturers.
Okay, so you're niching in high-tech manufacturers.
That's where we're going right now.
All right, great. Well, I can't wait to see what you've done, and maybe you can send some tips my way. I think we're probably not far off of the same concept here. Now, you told me that you've got two exciting things to kind of share with us. What do you want to start with today?
Let's talk about my coin mint company, because I think that's pretty interesting. This is a lead that actually came out of some cold emails almost a year ago. It's about 10 months ago. And we talked back and forth several times, and they just weren't ready to move on any of the projects. They loved the concepts I was presenting. They just weren't ready to move. They didn't have the budget at the time. And so we just kept in touch. And about a month ago, I guess it was now, the marketing director reached out to me and said, my boss, the president of the Mint, has come to me and said, I need some new ideas. We got to jumpstart our marketing. And she said, I immediately thought of you. So we scheduled another meeting. I went back down to see them and went through the entire pitch again of what I was thinking of doing. And in the discovery call that we did as part of the pitch, we learned that it wasn't necessarily the one side of their mint that makes tokens and metals and things like that. It was the other side of their mint that mints fine silver and gold bullion.
Okay.
And so they are selling to numismatic dealers all across the country. And the impetus of this was they were purchased by an international mint. And the international mint said, hey, kick this up a notch and get things going. So we created a whole proposal around finding and numismatic dealers to become distributors of the mint. And so we are just about to get that into production and get it rolling out. So we're very excited about that. And then just last week, when I talked with them again, discovered that not only are we doing it for their gold and bullion, but now they want to consider doing it for direct to consumer sales as well, which they were never allowed to do up until recently.
So do a good job and expand on the scope, right? That seems pretty great. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're excited about that.
And so are you doing sort of a classic ACDC here, awareness, consideration, decision? Where are you in the process right now? And
it is going to be a classic ACDC model. And so we are now scripting the content and making sure that we're tracking the right the right people with our content. We actually have a meeting coming up in 2 weeks to finalize some of that, and then we're going to jump into production here in late July or early August.
Great. For those of you out there who aren't sure of ACDC, we've been talking about it the last several episodes, but it basically is an acronym for awareness content, consideration content, and decision stage content, which is sort of the foundation of some of the strategies that Bob and I have been working on here for the last year or so. And it's some really exciting stuff. So what's the first move after you create this first set of content? Is that going out on Meta then, or LinkedIn? What are you on?
It's going to primarily be on LinkedIn because these are higher end distributors. They're selling high dollar, high ticket items. They're probably not really hanging out on Meta for necessarily their education. That's where their customers might be. So since we're not selling to the end customer in this particular model, we're going to probably be primarily on LinkedIn.
What's the first attack for typically the awareness content guys is broad stroke. We're going to try to get that out to as many people as we can. Is that what you're doing with this one? And what are you doing?
That's correct, except there are not an infinite number of coin dealers around the country. So we're going to get very targeted with this campaign, and the messaging around it is very specific to, what are you finding? How do you know you're getting good quality in the coins you're distributing? How do you know you're getting unique designs? Things like that are very unique to this particular company, this mint. They do a lot of stuff with graphic design on the coins that they manufacture, which is really pretty cool.
And are you managing the campaign and the ad spend on this one, or?
We will be, yes.
You will be. Cool. Do they have a budget that they're hoping to start off with, and where's that going to go?
On the campaign, we're looking at, I believe we talked about $1,000 a month on LinkedIn to start.
And do you have any idea what that's going to get them for starters? And then because I was just talking to a client the other day, and they were like, well, when are we going to see results? And I said, well, these platforms, they have to learn. There's usually a week or two of learning stage, and I don't want to overpromise ever, but what are they to expect from the first charge?
Yeah, we've done some calculators with them to kind of show what we expect. We would expect that it will grow to about 200 leads a month once it gets up and running. But I've kind of shifted the models that we use, the calculators we use, to say, you've really got to think about it in a run or a crawl, walk, run scenario, where just because we say we're going to get you this amount of leads, it's not going to happen day one. Right? It's going to take time to get out there for not only the platform to figure out what's going on, but for people to start to get their eyes on it and start to show interest. And I think recently read a stat that it's now up to 12 exposures for any one person before they make a move. So you got to hit somebody 12 times for them to take action.
Forget 3 or 5 or 8, it's 12. Right. Goodness.
It's going up all the time. So
I wonder if that's because we're like oversaturated with all the things we're seeing in the world right now, I'm guessing, right?
There's no doubt. So, we think that we're going to get, month 1, maybe 10% of our goal, month 2, 25, month 3, 50, month 4, 75. By month 5 or 6, we should be at the 100% mark where we're driving leads. But we expect that it could return 6x.
What's the value of a conversion for these guys, or what is a KPI?
The value of a typical deal in this particular market is $50,000.
Oh my God, great.
So
that's not hard to get those numbers to shoot up, even with a few conversions, right? So 200, they should be doing okay after that if you get them there in a couple of months.
Yeah, well, and their goal is to be doing over $1 million of business very soon in this new market.
Wow, I can't wait to see how that progresses. So $50,000, and that audience is a small coin collector? No, these have to be dealers, right?
Dealers, they're selling to people who want customized or rare coins as investment vehicles.
Wow, that seems really great, Bob. Tell me about the next thing. I think you said real estate, was it?
Yeah, we're working with a realtor here in the area who wants to develop himself as an online presence. He's got some guys down in Orlando who are doing this in their market, and they are just killing it as far as leads and sales of new homes and repurposed homes. And so he wants to do that here. So we had to create a tour of a neighborhood just outside of Cincinnati called Lebanon, Ohio. And this will go on his website, and we'll go out in a social media campaign for him. So we did about a 7-minute tour of the area, showing all the neighborhoods, showing what the city has to offer, It's a small town, so it's still got kind of farmish community feel to it in a way. And then we're generating 10 pieces of shorter content that we call snackables that'll also be out there on his website, and he'll put in his social channels. He wants to start with organic posting in the beginning. So we're going to let him do that and see how it goes.
Does he already have a bit of a following, or how does he justify the...
Yeah, he's got a little bit of a following. He's trying to really build it up. So I think it won't take long before we decide, yeah, let's put a paid campaign together and get you out there.
Well, hopefully you can use some of the other campaigns you've run to kind of prove him differently, or show, especially with what you said with your own campaign, getting more interaction on LinkedIn. Sounds like it's its own special case study.
Yeah.
This has been a pretty interesting journey here, Bob. I have to say that the confidence level that I feel in myself, and kind of immediately talking to you about the same thing, I can see we're both pretty excited about what we're doing, and that we both have had this sort of the light bulb when the client goes, oh, great, let's do it. Right? I mean, I when you say that the real estate person isn't quite ready for ads, it just feels like nothing but opportunity to me. And clearly the minting operation, they have seen how they're going to expand already before you've even really gotten too far along in the first strategy. Do you have anything for our listeners out there that missed the first episode with you, or what should we tell these guys at the end of today's show? This is a short episode because we're just doing a little follow-up, but what do you have?
Yeah, I think for today, it's all about perseverance and sticking with it. And, I've been chasing some of these people for 9-10 months, and they're finally coming around. And I think that in the world we're living in right now, and where we've been through this year, you just got to stick with it. That's the key.
Perseverance, right. I mean, I like that you said it was the mint operation that was a year ago that you reached out to them?
About 10 months. It was last August. Yeah.
Right. Well, that sounds promising. I have some clients I've been kicking around for 2 or 3 years, and I'm still waiting for that magic time, but I hear you. That seems really great. Well, Bob, this has been great catching up. I wish you the best with the 2 campaigns that you're working on now. And Curious Creatives out there, thanks again for this special little update with Bob Kelly, and we will see you at the next episode, okay?
Sounds good. Thanks, Mike.
This is special.